right. So you're probably working out, you eat right, and maybe you still have dimples or sagging skin. You're not broken. There's a hidden system in your body that you may not have been told about. This week, I sat down with Tamara Renee, my fascia therapist, who has completely changed how I think about aging and beauty. She was 80 pounds heavier than she is now, doing triathlons, eating healthy, but as she says, she was still covered in cellulite, and nothing worked until she discovered the fascia system in 2006. Here's what blew my mind. Cellulite apparently isn't genetic or extra fat. It's knots in your fascia, like tangles in your hair, and you can literally comb it out. She told me why Botox actually makes you age faster, why sleeping in tight clothes is ruining your body, and how that C-section scar is blocking your entire lymphatic highway. At 62 years old, she looks better than most 40-year-olds. No Botox, just fascia work. After hearing this conversation, you will probably not look at cellulite, scars, or anything on your body the same way again.
Welcome, Tamara, to the show.
You.
Excited to have you here.
Thank you
for making the trip. You're such a dear friend and someone that when I'm in your presence, my energy is uplifted from just your genuine heart. And I know that a big part of who you are today is your story, your background, the things that you've been through. We all have our crucible moments in life. We all have our pain and our trauma. And I would love if you would share with the audience a little about your story and what got you into being fascinated with fascia.
Well, I think the main point to realize is that a lot of our pain points bring us to our purpose. And without purpose, what is life? And the more that I lean into God, the more He's been able to shine light as to that. Yes, I'm reading those signs right. I'm reading what my body is telling me is my path. And it started with me being obese.
You were obese.
80 pounds more than I weigh today.
Okay.
Nobody believes that.
Yeah.
But the idea is that is a slice of my life. That is a chapter. And what did that chapter give me? That chapter gave me the momentum and the belief in myself. And it also gave me my purpose of wanting to save women so that they can be present in their lives. I realized that, through the ebb and flows in life, there's a lot of conditions that we expect or are expected of us. And without really knowing how to navigate your path, you need to have presentness. And a lot of times when you don't have blood sugar regulation, which people probably don't even know what that is, but no highs and lows in your energy, when you don't have clear mind, you don't have confidence. It's really hard to be present with things.
Absolutely.
Right? Because you're like thinking, oh, I'm so tired. Oh,
Yeah.
I've got gas. Oh, this person's so pretty. What about me? Is right. So there's no precedence to that. And so when I was obese, I was hiding from the world. And I really realized, hold on, I need to turn this around.
Yeah.
And it happened from a really funny story in Oregon, which was where I was raised. I walked down the hallway of just mirrors without my robe on. When you're in Oregon, your robe goes everywhere with you. So I'm walking down my hallway and I'm catching myself naked on both sides going, whoa, I have longevity everywhere in my genes. And I knew I was going to have a long life if I did not figure out how to get my body back under control.
Okay.
So I started investigating more personalized nutrition, and then started changing things. I mean, I deserved to be over 80 pounds. I literally deserved. I was eating white trash food. I was just overeating. I was emotional eating. And I turned that around, trying to do basic habits that everyone thought was healthy during those days. When I got through my 30 pounds off, I realized, hold it. You know what? There is some precision that needs to come for the next point. And that is about me learning more about my body. What is my body? Does my body do well with eggs? Does my body do well with oatmeal? which one of those is better for me to start my breakfast with. So I first started in the personalized nutrition then. And then years later, as I have learned about lymphatic and that stagnation in the body, how to work with our inflammatory markers and our foods that cause that or decrease that for my own body, then for my clients' bodies, how to open their detox pathways. Then 2006 came out, Fascia, in our medical journals. It was a French hand scientist, and then they get, hold it, fascia, connective tissue, that's right in the same lymph line, same line as my lymph. Hold it, I need to pay attention to this. And so then, as of the couple of years, more stuff started progressing about its knowledge. So the medical journal first journaled that fascia is a stability and a suspension program. So what does that mean to us? That stability gives us like strength to hold our body up, the shape and size of our muscles. But then the suspension, that's a key component. That's supposed to be keeps our tendons, ligaments, muscles, fibers, organs all gliding and moving so that when we move or we breathe, everything is in motion internally. But if it's stuck, if it's got any kind of adhesion in there, it's not only impacting the fascia and the movement, it's impacting the detox pathway of your lymphatic system. And then we add on the wrong food to our diet, which is causing our body inflammation, which might be perfect for yours, just not brilliant and loving for mine.
Yeah.
So I like to couple it all together because if we're looking for natural solutions and how to age and feel well and look radiant, I think those are all components that need to be coupled together.
Oh, yeah.
Now, the main thing that I find is the most important thing about fascia alone is that is a connective tissue system that's continuous. So it's like if I've taken a strand of hair and instead of where it ends, it weave back up into my head and then the next one and then the next one and then the next one and then 5,000 ones
later. Now your hair's knotted.
And I've got a knot here. It is certainly going to make it not so pretty and moving so well on this side.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want to teach people is the magnitude of impact that it has on our health, therefore our beauty, because then that we don't have circulation. Without circulation, we don't get nourishment. We don't get toxin removal. We don't get collagen and elastin. We don't get cellular health. We don't get mitochondria function. And then this is kind of, I don't want to get too out there.
The efficacy of all of that is impacted by the fascia.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And all of this is science-based medical journal now. Okay. So the one area that we haven't touched on is the fascia system houses the nerves. And what that means is if we want our body to communicate to our brain and to different components in our body, and then if we want to understand how our body receives emotional trauma, it's in that nerves. It lies in those nerves and sensitive compasses the nerves. And if we've got a lot of that emotional trauma, that could be from your mother saying, dummy, why did you not wash the dish that way? But we've harnessed that as a big trauma to ourselves.
And we're holding it in our fascia?
Holding it in your fascia.
Wow. Okay.
I mean, that's just one small thing. Could you imagine like heartache, death? Right?
Yeah.
Watching someone die in front of you that you adore.
Yeah.
There's so many traumas that we encompass in a day. And, sometimes we can't understand why our body has not restored from something, even though we think our brain is okay about it.
Yeah.
And it's because it's actually stored within the connective tissue. And we have to move that in order for it to get released out of our body.
I have so many questions for you now.
I know. Where do we start?
Where do we start? Because there's so much that is impacted in our life, the way we look, the way we feel, based on the health of our fascia.
Mm-hmm.
Where would you like to start? What do you think is the most important place to start?
Well, most important is different than what I think the buzzwords are out there.
Okay.
So let's start with that, because maybe then we can answer, or we can get the audience more enrolled, because cellulite is a huge buzzword out there, and people think cellulite is a condition of genetics or fat when it is actually not. Cellulite, that dent is just an adhesion in the fascia connective tissue system. Any adhesion that's been put in there because of numerous reasons, it can be removed, released, and getting movement. So you can actually cure cellulite.
Whoa, that's a huge thing to say, because a lot of cellulite therapies will say they can reduce the appearance of cellulite. So you are saying that through fascia work, we can actually smooth out the cellulite, not just the appearance of it,
Yes.
the actual dimpling in the system.
Now you think about this.
Tell us more how.
Okay.
And
So think
explain
about
this.
We've got that adhesion. And if you've got a hair, a knot in your hair, which is just like an adhesion, if you took a comb and combed it out, would be a pretty efficient way to get it out, right? Say you didn't have a comb, but you would have a lot of conditioner. So if I put a lot of conditioner on there, hydration, nourishment, would it kind of slowly slip out? Yes, it's going to improve. And then we add on things like compression, foam rolling, compression booths, lymphatic suits and stuff like that. That compression, what happens as soon as it releases, it forces hydration into our cells and into our tissue. And so that's another way. But the most brilliant way is actually use combing mechanisms. That is the fastest way to get the adhesion.
That's exactly what you do to me.
That's
you comb me. I think I have some bruises on my legs. I saw you a couple days ago. She combs my whole body.
Yes.
And some of it can be painful, and I can be left with some bruises, but you're taking the knots out of my fascial network.
Yes. So you think about it. Normally when we think bruises, we think of trauma to the skin.
Yeah.
But actually, when you're actually taking and getting blood supply to where there was none, and bringing and getting a bruise from that, my friend, is health.
Yeah.
Because that's where circulation comes in, where it was not getting blood supply to the top layers of your skin. So then, not even talking about the cellulite and that smoothing down. But if you think about it, if you've got that adhesion, blood supply is not getting, but there's no collagen and elastin, we're wondering, why am I aging? Why am I getting such saggy skin?
Yeah.
Even to our face.
Because the nourishment isn't able to get to that skin. Right. So it doesn't matter what type of creams and potions you put on.
No.
It's not going to address it to that level as much as dealing with the function.
Yes.
And what would you say? What would be the word for that? The
mobility of it.
The mobility of it. Okay.
Mm-hmm. So then you think about, glycation. Glycation is a huge word.
Yeah.
Now, because collagen's been a buzz for 5-6 years? So now it's going to glycation. What does that really mean? That's like, it just turns out that fascia, that collagen, more gummy, more sticky.
Yeah.
More dry, dehydrated, more malnourished.
Yeah.
But if we can get all of that moving and the nourishment there, think about how radiant we could be.
Yes.
Not only how well we can move, how well we can age, take away the stiffness. Stiffness is dry dehydration in your fascia network.
So it's not just about drinking more water, taking in more hydration. It's also manually addressing the fascial network.
Yes.
Okay. And so how do we do that? You're saying combing. Explain to us.
So I actually use a mechanism that's called fasciablasting. But I tend to use multimodality processes with my clients, because you come in, you have got delicious fascia, meaning healthy, vibrant, pliable, receptive. But then there's people that come in that they're like this. And if I keep trying to comb up against hard surface.
And you have people in their 20s, young people that come in that are hard as a rock, right?
Yes.
It's not just about age.
No.
Because I'm in my 40s and mine's pliable and soft, which you would
And so
consider
is mine
delicious.
now.
Okay, so this is exciting too, and this gives hope that it's not just, oh, as you age, these are the things that we're going to face. No, we have solutions and we have ways that we can age better. And
Yes.
this is why this is such an exciting conversation, because we get to talk about how do we do that.
Well, also think about that. It's like, there's so many things we can do to make ourselves more beautiful. And how many of them are we compromising our health
Yeah.
in order to achieve the beauty?
Right.
Right? We're in Southern California. There's some backup on that. But what if we can...
Well, let's back up a second, because when you say that, I'm thinking about surgeries. A surgery is cutting into the fascia network, right?
Putting an adhesion in our beautiful fascia network.
Right. I mean, I had 2 cesareans. An adhesion right down the center line of that whole network, that highway of communication. So when we get a scar or a deep scar like a cesarean, or what do they call those facelifts now? Deep plane facelifts?
Yes.
Tell us what that does to the fascia.
Well, think about it. We're cutting through, and then we've got to sew. So if you think about when we're going through that process, we are damaging all the tissue in that area, not just where we're slicing through, but all the tissue that they're pulling, right?
Mm-hmm.
And manipulating. And then we've shut down the lymphatic flow in that area.
Ooh, okay.
You know, I mean, what took me to lymph work was I was having a ton of congestion in my face. But, you know, I've had 160 some odd face stitches in my face in my horse accident.
Yeah, you were in an accident on a horse.
Right, when I was 13. And I was like, why am I having all this weird edema? You know, why am I squaring? Why do I have huge bags under my eyes? And I was young and vibrant then.
Yeah.
Or, you know, younger and vibrant when I was going through the aging process. And so I had to learn.
Wait, so
to learn about
these
lymph.
edema situations didn't show up till later?
Mm.
So this is a good thing to note. Many people have surgery, even like liposuction, things like that. They will come into our clinic, and years later, they're suffering from the edema, suffering from whatever the health condition is, not relating it to the surgery because it was years prior. So this is something that I really want to note to the audience, that if you've had surgery or any way that your fascia has been compromised, it's something to consider. Even, you know, that it usually shows up later on.
The body has to compensate.
Yeah.
The body has to compensate for poor biomechanics. The body has to compensate for scars, for dehydration, for the wrong diet. So our body, every moment, is compensating.
Our body loves us so much.
It does.
Yeah, it's working so hard.
It really does.
So hard for us.
So then let's talk about this even on a deeper level. So we have all those surgeries, but then we've got a lot of other treatments that aren't healthy for us. But then we think
like
about...
what? Give us some examples.
Maybe like a mesotherapy, where we're taking and we're shooting chemicals in one area of our body to reduce cellulite. That's only temporarily helping the issue because we're not actually healing the tissue. We're actually traumatizing it more.
Yeah.
So immediately that fluid loosens it. But if you don't actually do the combing mechanism, you can't actually get that to really lay down. So then you've got immediate gratification and long-term more
What about
problem.
Botox?
Well, Botox is a brilliant one, right? Because it makes us look amazing in 10 days. However, it stops the movement. So what does that mean? Lack of nourishment, lack of blood supply. And fascia is meant to move.
Yeah.
That's the part of it. That's why it is a suspension system, is to help our body move, because our body's supposed to move.
Yeah.
So if we've shut down that movement, then what happens? No collagen, no elastin. So immediately we look great in 10 days, but it shuts down all the mechanisms that help us with aging well.
Yeah.
Long term.
When I had my skincare clinic, I started it in my early 20s, and I've never touched Botox because I had the blessing of being able to watch people who were using Botox over the years, how their skin aged, because I am looking at their skin so closely, and I was noticing the skin became more transparent. It almost looked kind of mannequin-like.
Got me?
It was just, it didn't have the color to it. The face started to drop. So maybe they didn't have the wrinkles, but everything's dropping because it's not moving. And it didn't appear to me that it was aging the way that we would like it to. And so I started to ask questions and get curious about it. Well, what's happening here? Lack of nourishment, lack of lymphatic flow, lack of blood flow. I mean, what makes you so vibrant? Like when you're a little kid and you're like running through the forest, you come home and you've got pink cheeks, you know, it's all the blood in your face and the lymph and everything flowing through that gives you that vitality.
Yes.
We want that as we age, and that starts to get compromised by many different things that we do. So people are being sold instant, quick microwave. I call it a microwave society. A quick fix.
I like that.
You're going to look good now, and I'm going to take your money for it, and make you look good, but not looking into what are the long-term effects besides the fact that you're putting a toxin into your body that's draining down, and research shows it's affecting thyroid. We could go into the whole thing, but I love that we get to talk about these things because our Hydrate family is a very intelligent family. And the Hydrate listeners are here because they really want to know more about how they can do better for themselves. And how can we do better for ourselves if we're not educated and at least given different perspectives so that we get to choose. So if you want to choose Botox, great for you. That's your choice. But at least you know. You need to know. Because it's not fair to get sold something and just talk about the benefits, but not also, here's what you could be facing too. Now you get to choose.
Yeah. So I've worked for 2 plastic surgeons over the course of my career. I've been in 1 medical day spa. So I got to see this a lot. And in their practices, I brought things like lymphatic wellness, fascia wellness, personalized nutrition. I'm like, you're pumping their body with all of those medications, and then you want that tissue to heal?
Yeah.
Come on, bring me in. I'm going to make your work look brilliant because I'm going to do with the underlying things that stops the tissue from healing. So I don't want anyone to feel bad about their choices, because I believe like we all make them based on our own experience, and the one thing that drives us. I'm more driven with natural beauty. That's just how I'm wired.
Yeah.
And I value natural beauty. So, I'm 62 years.
Because you're thinking about longevity, not just what looks good right now.
No, both. When I see Tracy with hardly any makeup on compared to Tracy, like when we've got a formal event to go to, I love Tracy with minimal makeup. I love that look. To me, that's fresh and pretty. But I want people to understand that no matter what their choice is, I can greatly help them in the space that they're at with the knowledge that I have and with the choices they've made.
Yes.
Because also, like, there's another component that I was talking with a guy just earlier today. Like, one thing that we don't consider, like, the number one question that I get that I hate, or I should say dislike. How long is this going to take? How long until you can work out all these adhesions out of my body? And I'm thinking, Okay. How many surgeries have you had? How much water are you drinking? Are you eating the right diet for you? Are you breathing well? Because that moves the lymphatic fluid. And how is your posture? We think about it, how many people you see with poor posture anymore,
Yeah.
right?
And
And
a lot of young people now, because
if
they're at
you-
computers, on the phone.
And so our biomechanics are very important to how our body is aging, looking, and feeling.
Mm-hmm.
So just aging in both of those components. And I always say it really starts with the feet. You know, one of the things I said about you when I first saw you, I'm like, oh my gosh, your toes are all separated. The metatarsals aren't on each other. How beautiful. Everything's all, you know, and it's still like, I can't get that across enough with people. Like,
Your
if you're-
foundation. The feet are your foundation.
your foundation.
To everything else. It's all stacked on it.
And I can almost look at someone and know how they've been standing. If I see them like
Wow.
with their knees showing or see their body, like if they've got fitted clothes on, I can almost tell you how they've stand.
So what I'm hearing is that the fascia is also very much impacted by our posture.
Obedient. Fascia is obedient. If you put a tight belt around your waist, which most men do.
I have one of those on right now.
You think about it, men, like women, we change where our rise is in our pants a lot.
Yeah.
And even in our panties.
Yeah.
Men don't, right? They're like the same pants, the same underwear, you know, same spot. And if they wear that belt, they'll get those little impressions.
Mm-hmm.
Because fascia is obedient. It's supposed to be receptive to your movement and pressure.
Well, and think about the things that you do all the time. Like when I used to go to bed, I would have tight underwear on, tight whatever, like shirt. And now I sleep naked because I don't want anything inhibiting my lymphatic flow, my fascia. And I think about the material of the sheets that I'm sleeping in. Now I sleep in grounding sheets that are made out of linen and silver, and, you know, so that my body is getting that full spectrum ground. Well, it's on 3 polarities, not 4, but it's close enough. It's better than sleeping on polyester sheets or, you know, something that's synthetic. So we want to think about these things because when we're in bed for a third of our life on average, and you've got tight men, what do they call it? Tighty whities or boxers, or, you know, as women, we're wearing tight things to bed. That's the fascia is getting trained. Like, what are they called? Those
Corsets.
But what is it called? A waist trainer? What do those
Underwire
do?
bras.
What do waist trainers do to the body?
Compress your fascia. So there's a point that you want to compress. If you tend to get like lymphedema, both of those are good from compression when you're going to be up moving around a lot. But when you're lying, take those things off and let your tissue breathe.
Okay, so it is good to sleep in bed with no clothes. That's better.
It definitely is. Yes.
Okay.
And also, like, think about what are those chemicals doing to our body, our biggest organ? It is polluting our lymphatic system.
That's such a good point because a lot of my, even like silk pajamas, you put them in water and I'll see all the dyes bleed out. And I'm thinking in my mind, at night, we sometimes sweat a little bit, or this is when we're detoxing, and I'm absorbing all of that into my body. I want to start being more mindful, right, of all these little details to lower the toxic load.
Right. And, you know, that could be really overwhelming to the audience. I know your audience is quite educated, but I do know that some new listeners that I've referred over, they're saying, oh, gosh, I've never heard of some of the things she's saying. So, you know, I guess that, you know, start with the basic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I think some of the basics that you can't deny is minerals in your water and clean water. Adequate amount of sleep. That might be 6 hours for one and 9 for another. What is on the end of your fork? You have to eat.
That's where you started.
3 to 5 times a day.
Oh, okay.
And how important is that if it's the wrong food?
Yeah.
Or poor quality food?
Yeah.
And you can If you don't know how you're supposed to eat a blend and a well balance of nourishment, of nutrients, as you're trying to pay attention to how your body. But so those are I would say the key fundamentals. Then I would go to, and you might disagree with me, breath.
Oh, no, not at all. I 100% agree with you.
Okay, but would you put breath in the first three?
It's a huge thing because you're taking in oxygen, which is marrying with the hydrogen in your body, and it's helping you create more intracellular water, helping to move the lymphatic system,
Vagus nerve.
Vagus nerve regulation. I mean, there's so much to breath that I think that we don't. That's something I'm working on in my life because I know I cannot breathe. I'm like, all of a sudden, recognizing it. So it's something I get to get more mindful of. And as I do, I realize I feel so much better when I'm also regulating my breath. My nervous system is more regulated.
Yes.
One of the things that I tell my daughters is your breath can take you anywhere you want to go. When you're feeling anxious, you're feeling sad, you're feeling angry, if you take time to connect with yourself through your breath, you can tap into whatever emotion you want. You can bring more joy into your body. You can bring more peace. I've gone on stages. I started out in college going on stages because I was part of the debate team. And I remember times getting up there where my body was shaking, my voice was shaking, and I didn't know how to regulate it. And now as I go on stages, I know I cannot go up on stage without doing my breath work. Before they call my name, I am zoned in on my breath. And once I regulate my nervous system, that can take me anywhere I want to go in that speech. I'm owning my body.
Yeah.
So I 100% agree with you that breath is essential. I should probably have that as more of I have my 9 pillars. We need to have a 10th pillar.
Okay. Yeah. I like 2 numbers, like a 1 and a 0.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to be a 10?
Who doesn't want to be a 10? Let's make it a perfect 10.
Okay. I love it. Yeah. So, just going back and kind of circling back to what we've talked about, like one thing I didn't cover earlier is like my path, right? So after I lost my weight, I was like in clothes, I looked like $1 million. But outside of those clothes, I was still having purplish skin tone. I was having a lot of veins. I was having cellulite, and I was doing triathlons during those days. So here I'm running marathons and doing triathlons, and I still was plagued with cellulite until I learned about the fascia connective tissue system. And then when I was like, hold it, I have Achilles issues, can help me get that movement. Because when I was running with one leg out to the side a little bit. So my biomechanics put my whole fascia system on lockdown and created all these adhesions to supply, and this is beautiful, to supply stability in my joints. So I would not need a joint replacement. So if anyone out there is seeing cellulite on your body, be grateful for it. Bless it. Thank it, because it has saved joints for you.
Wow.
It is a stabilization system. And so that has been trying to communicate to you.
But now we get to get
for
curious.
so long.
So we get to see the cellulite and say thank you for what you're trying to communicate.
Now get in the back of the bus.
Let me get curious and figure out what that is. And so that's where you come in.
Yeah.
As a fascia expert, you're going to meet with your clients. You're going to look, this is what you did for me. You looked at my gait, my posture,
Stance.
every part of the way I walk. And we're able to say, Tracy, this is what I see. The way your knees are, this is what's causing like my calves were really tight. I was dealing with really tight calves.
Scar tissue right behind your knee, right at the top of the right behind the lymphatic, right there.
Yeah.
That was all from your stance.
That was impacting it. And you found so many things that I would have never been aware of or even been able to get curious of because I didn't have the insider awareness for it. So that's where you really helped me. And then not only that, you went in and targeted those areas by combing out my fascia and getting it really healthy. And we work together as a team too, because it's my job as a sovereign being to eat nutritious food, to take care of my hydration, do all those things. And then when you come to comb it out, we work together. It's receptive. And for people that don't live near you, you can do this virtually for them, right? Where
I do even the postural assessment. That's a requirement to start with me.
So you do the posture assessment, and then you teach them how to comb their own body so that they can do it at home.
Yes.
And I think this is where your expertise is so essential, because we can do it wrong too, right? Like there's no-nos. You don't want to go in a circular motion because you're just knotting up the fascia even more, right? I mean, there's probably so many things that
there's very little nose for the body. From your chest plate up, there's a lot of nose. However, aren't we all wanting to use our time efficiently? So I save people years of effort by telling them, here's your first priority. Here is what you need to change first. If you're spending any time of reworking your fascia, this is what you need to do. You need to do this every day, 2 minutes in the shower. You need to spend 20 minutes in this area 2 times a week. And then you do that for 4 to 6 weeks. And then you take on the third level, in which I've told you. So people tend to go, okay, so backing up to that stability system. So we're not liking, oh, I've got cellulite on my thighs. Oh, I've got cellulite on the back of my thighs, right? Then we're going to go and we're going to work that area. That's natural. We're going to the area that we don't like how it looks. However, many times they've got to be working something else in their body. My cellulite got better once I freed up the last 4 inches of my perineal muscles.
Really?
2 inches wide, 4 inches tall. Yes. All of a sudden I got that moving. I've got that glistening, feeling nourished. My skin got softer and my cellulite got better.
And last time I went to see you, you said my skin was like butter, you know? It's like,
yes!
This is the work that we do together. And I feel it. To close off, what is the weirdest thing you've ever Googled about the body?
I think the weirdest thing was probably how does an organ stay alive outside the body?
Oh, okay.
I like watching those medical shows.
Yeah.
Even the super...
That's a very interesting question. Yeah. How does an organ stay alive? Well, what did you discover?
I have something to do with depending on the organ and then how it's contained and that it only has a certain amount of time. But there was one organ. Can't remember which one. Do you know which one it is? That you cannot.
That you can't keep alive outside the body?
Keep alive.
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll have to Google it.
I know. More fun stuff to learn.
Okay, so I'm sure the audience is going to have more questions, and also maybe want to connect with you, learn more from you. So everyone go to the show notes.
Yeah.
We'll have links on how to connect with Tamara, her Instagram or social, and being a part of the Hydrate family. Tamara has a very special offer just for our Hydrate clients, and she wants to meet with you. So, Tamara, thank you for being on the show.
Yes, thank you.
You for sharing so much insightful knowledge for us to glean from so that we can upgrade our internal radiance so that we can radiate on the outside.
Yeah. Well, girl, I'm passionate about it.
And you gave us hope. So thank you. I love you.
Love you too.
Goodbye.